Good morning. Hi, Beth.
Good morning,
Good morning,
everyone.
everyone. Good morning. Okay, so let me see. Christy, I'm going to make you co-host
Okay.
so you can help me manage.
Yeah.
Kimberly's here.
She is.
Hello, hello. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. How are you guys?
Good. I'm actually in a hotel. I spent last night in Detroit with Yasmin, Cynthia, and Antonia.
I know your social
Um,
media told me.
Yeah, I just went out. I just showered. They went out and got us coffees and all that. So I'm left alone in the room for a minute until Yasmin comes back, but I'm excited to learn from you today.
I'm super excited. I tried to put it all in a smaller frame because I feel like there's so much you could do wrong that we did. I also have Ian with me today. So Ian is, my marketing person, just so that we can kind of have an idea of what did I miss? What do I need to do better if I miss something that we've kind of talked about?
Awesome. Okay, so we can get started. I think this is recording already. Yep, it is. Awesome. So teach us. Fridays are usually agent attraction. I need to find somewhere to put my phone. Fridays are usually agent attraction and start meeting summary AI. They got all of these robot things. So really just trying to, all of us get better at this agent attraction game and learning from each other. So tell us about you and where you got to in agent attraction and let us learn.
Yeah, so mostly what I'm going to talk about is building the team today, because that's kind of where I'm doing all of my agent attraction. And so I haven't really focused on doing agent attraction more as getting people to want to follow me and just building a relationship. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Kymberly Clem McCreary. If you see my husband, so you might see different names. It's an adjustment when you try to change your business name in the middle of a business disaster. I do run a small but mighty team here in Lexington, Kentucky. And so we have 5 agents and 3 back offices. So we have a marketing director, Ian, who is on here today, Jai, who is our transaction coordinator, as well as the black ops, which we call her our operations manager. And everybody kind of has their own lane. We have 5 agents. All of those agents are very different and specialize in a ton of different things. So I'm going to kind of tell you what I've done to build the team, which in return, I feel like has been huge. I'm just going to pull my slides so I can see them. Which in return, I feel like has been huge, and not only my success, but also some of the trial and error that I have went through. So the first thing I would say is, and it's going to be, I don't know if I can see. Yeah.
Yeah, I just gave you access to share your screen if you're
Thanks,
trying.
Christy.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I know I sent over the slides, but I do not have them up because I was under the impression that you were gonna have them go on your side. But Ian, I can have pull them if needed, so you could see those slides.
I have it up. If
Ian,
you can share the screen with me, please.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, you should be able to.
Is Ian like a wizard behind the screen?
He is. I'm logging in right now. I get here. I have a picture I'm going to post on social media after this. And I put, what happens when you show up 15 minutes before Zoom? It's okay. They have sticky notes. They have everything done. Ian's like, here's your login. Here's the back stuff. It's kind of a nice thing because everybody's like got it all planned. And of course, as the salesperson, I show up 15 minutes before and I'm like, okay, what's the plan? And they're like, this is what you need to do, ma'am. So Ian, go ahead to the first one, which is who you hire matters. So I think that, Gogo and me have really talked in, for those of you who don't know, I have been a licensed agent for 5 years. So I hit July will be 5 years. I've been licensed since 2018, once I came home from active duty military. However, I didn't practice for a year. I just took that time to really understand real estate. A lot of people think it's crazy that I took an entire year, but at the time I had a really good position at Lockheed Martin. So I really didn't need to quit. However, I quickly learned that you cannot do it part-time. In my opinion, it was really, really hard to focus on my job and real estate. So what I did was, after a year of just understanding real estate, I jumped in July of 2019, and I was full-time by October. I'm a huge fan of who am I listening to. I want to know that they have sold houses and had experience. And so my first year in, I sold 47 homes. My second year, 77 with a showing assistant. And we have consistently sold over 100 since then. I have built my team up and down. And honestly, I have traveled and met a ton of different people. The biggest thing I would tell you is be the type of person that people want to follow, and you will attract the people that matter. So who you hire matters. As a brand new agent, I was hiring out of necessity, and I didn't care who joined me. I just needed people, right? And that's kind of what I had heard, is you just need a body. Well, I found that was stressful, because those bodies and those people didn't work for me. Maybe I just didn't like them. I remember my very first hire, she wanted to work with me, and I'm like, she thinks you can work Tuesday and Thursday only. And like, she wants to go to yoga Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Like, I've been here for 13 hours. It didn't make any sense, but I still hired her. Why did I hire her? Because I needed her, right? Well, it's safe to say that only lasted like 45 days, and I fired her. So I'm very military. They say slow to hire, quick to fire. I think the United States Army taught me I'm quick to hire and quick to fire. So I kind of just take a chance. If it's a great fit, it is. If it's not. So picking, and I'm going to kind of talk about this with building a team, but also I think for agent attraction, it could be huge. And that is, who do you want to follow you? I am a very assertive personality. I'm opinionated. I have no filter. Like, that's who I am. And for so long, I was trying to fit in circles that I didn't belong. I was trying to be everybody's cup of tea. I wanted everybody to love me. And once I stopped doing that, I learned that, hey, the people who I like and who like me, they will follow, and they will come and join my alignment in my business. And so not only with my team has that been a huge success, but also with other realtors. You know, I have done 17 referrals from other realtors this year alone. And that to me says, not only am I building my name and my business, but anytime somebody local wants to go to EXP, I'm usually their first call. And I think that's a big deal, because I don't know how certain people's brand is in certain locations. I know it's very different. There's certain brokerages that are heavy. Here we have actually the complete opposite, where there are two mega teams, myself and one other team leader, and you're either one style or the other. And so it's important for us to be the style that people call. Ian, will you go to the next slide? Thank you. So one of the things I'm going to talk about is training is everything. So I think this is important to look at training, because of the fact that when you're thinking about who you hire, you have to know, can you train them? So the Army taught me that there's no one way to train. And I think in the beginning, what I was doing was I was finding agents who were all alike. They were brand new agents. They didn't have any flaws. And we were working through basically the same type of training on every one of them. I was spending 13 hours a day, I kid you not, with each agent. And sometimes it would take them 30 to 45 days to be fully trained. They were exhausted and I was exhausted. I was trying to make them perfect when really they had their own way of doing it. I just needed to teach them the facts and the basics and let them mold what I knew and what was successful into their personalities. So I also found that I was doing more work and not leveraging my time. So about 3 years ago, I created VHP University, which is actually very much like GoGo's training and all of her back office stuff that she has, where everything that I have recorded over the past 3 years with a team is documented. It's in a different file on a Google Drive. Ian is the master behind that. And basically they can go in and pull scripts. They can go in and pull recordings if they want to hear Zillow calls. So a lot of our business in the beginning was Zillow calls. And so people needed to understand that the average agent converts 5%. Our conversion on Zillow is a 37%. And so because of that, we already have system processes that work. You just need to follow them and learn them. And so we do, we call it Shark Tank. And basically, I feel like if I'm telling you something, you're intimidated because I'm the boss. But if your peers are telling you something, it's a little less more intimidating because you feel like you're a team. So once a week, we do Shark Tank, where we kind of put everybody in a circle. And you get to kind of be the shark and you get to ask a question that you don't know the answer to. And then everybody else will tell you what they would say. So you can get different opinions and different perspectives based on different personalities. I think that's important because when you're working, whether it's agents or clientele, they're all going to be completely different, right? So in the beginning, I thought I'm the best realtor there is. Everybody wants to work with me. Like, I've got this, right? What I learned is that's actually not true. Once I understood that, hey, some people love Caitlin. Caitlin is the teacher on my team. She has the sweetest approach. She is calm, collective. But when it comes to listing, they probably want my fierce personality. Then you have on my team, Ashley, who we would call the luxury listing agent. She's a mom. She's hardworking. She's been through so much, honestly, where she's in a situation that she can relate to people no matter where they're at in their life. And I think that's a big deal because I also have on my team, I have a younger agent who's 23. And in her situation, you know, she can't relate to somebody who's going through a divorce. She can't relate to somebody who has a college student who's 23 in her age, right? So there's a lot of differences in having the opportunity to have a different agent for a different person. But each of those agents took a different type of training. And I think that that's a huge deal because if and when you're working with other agents and you want people to come on and join you, can you adjust your personality to what they need? I am the worst person you want to send to a first-time home buyer because if I walk into a first-time home buyer, they are lost. I have so much information for them. They don't even want to buy a house anymore. I'm trying to convince them to buy the second house and not sell their current home. And for them, they're just on step 1 while I'm on 15. So understanding that has been a huge part of being able to help people grow as well as find like what works for them. When looking at how do you go from selling 47 homes to 100? I have an agent on my team who was with a different one for the last year and a half. She sold 7 houses in 2 years on that team. She now has 11 under contract and is completely successful in 92 days. She just bought a brand new Lexus last week, which is, you know, so exciting for her because now she believes in herself. And I would tell you, people ask me, well, what's the difference? It's training. It's somebody taking the time to say, call me when you have a fire. Call me when there's a problem. Being a team leader that I would call like boots on the ground. You know, I still do 55 transactions every year because of the fact that I want them to understand I'm not asking you to do anything I'm not doing, right? I also want them to understand that we have went through 3 different market changes. You know, I meet a lot of people and they're like, you're 5 years in and, you know, you haven't seen that much. And I'm like, but I have. I mean, I went through COVID. I came out of COVID. We have this new market transition that we're going into, and each agent has had to adjust to each one. I have an agent on my team that's been on my team for 3 years. She's 23 years old. And she'll tell you, she used to have to write 10 offers, 20,000 over, waive the appraisal to get a house back during COVID. And then today she has to explain, you know, okay, the interest rates are high, but here's the struggle, right? And I think that having the training and also the availability as a team leader to be there. I would put that on agent attraction to the fact that if you don't have time to mentor and help people, what I have found in my personal experience is that, and I've been there, right? For those of you who know me, you know that I was at EXP once. I left and came back so that I could get a different mentor, right? Not because my first mentors weren't great, but because I was past that season of my life where they were at the top of what they could teach me. How do you continue to help people grow? If you're going to do agent attraction, do you have time to give back to them? And if you don't, do you have systems and processes that are going to give them that time? Because ultimately, if I call GoGo 3 times a week and she doesn't answer me, I'm probably not going to be very happy with her, and I'm probably going to be looking for somebody else. And I'll tell you, I get a lot of the recruiting calls all the time. The reality is, it's not hand-holding, it's are you there when they actually need you, right? So I think that could be coming into the training is everything. Personal growth. So I'm going to equate that to agent attraction because when I was a brand new agent, I'm in Lexington, Kentucky. And so the average agent here sells 12 homes, right? I'll never forget walking into the brokerage and saying, I'm going to sell 42 homes. And I'll never forget that person that looked at me and said, whoa, it's okay if you don't, right? I sold 47 homes and I left that brokerage that year. So I also think it's really important that, like, what's your story and are you telling it? We all know that GoGo is phenomenal. Today she's like, this is what I did yesterday. I'm like, yeah, I know, GoGo. I saw it on your Instagram or your Facebook, right? So are you telling your story? I'm getting better at it, trying to tell people like, hey, here's what I've done. And I'll attend conferences. Last year I went to 13 conferences. That was a nightmare, but I did it to learn and be in the room with people. And I'll never forget sitting at a table with 32 women and somebody heard my accent, which you can, if you hear it, you know it. And they're like, oh my gosh, Kymberly from Kentucky. And I'm like, hey, and they're like, I love your videos. So here's what I'll tell you. Ian's on here and he's laughing like, ma'am, that happened? You didn't tell me that. But the reality is I don't get as many views as I want. I don't get as many likes. I don't get all of the things that somebody told me is important, but somebody saw it. Other agents at all of the other events were seeing it and knew who I was. So I think that's the other thing is social media, social media, social media. So whenever we're looking at surround yourself with people that are doing what you want to do and having that coaching aspect, I think one, when it comes to agent attraction, are you willing to be that for somebody? For me, if you're on my tribe, that's what we call it, you can call me anytime. My phone might go crazy the whole time that I'm here, right? You can call me anytime. Just understand that I do have a schedule. I will call you back in the same day. And I think that's so important is, are you there for the people that sign up to work with you, right? When talking about building the team, I think that it's really important for you to understand that your team can only be as good as you are. And so one of the things that I tell my team all the time is when I stop growing, you will stop growing. I think it's important that you understand and you shift to each market. I'm also a team player. And so what that means is that I have a reputation for being fierce, like some people say, like a pit bull, and that's okay. But I'm also, if you need help, you can call me. You're not my competition because at the end of the day, when you get to my level, I'm 2 steps ahead of you. And I think that collaboration mindset of, hey, what are you doing great that I'm not doing? And how can we get better together? Not only helps me in my marketplace attract agents, but it also helps me be noticed because I'm not using nasty to win people over, right? I mean, I can set a fire if I need to, but it's going to take me needing to. I wanted to talk about one thing that I think is really important when it comes to agent attraction and building a team, and that is how you respond when people leave, because it will happen. People will leave your team. I can't turn my screen, but if you look at my team, you'll see I fired a lot of people. Actually, I wouldn't say a lot, like 4 people I fired. So I went from a 7-man team to I'm now a 5, but there have been a few rotations in between because they didn't work. One of those rotations happened to be an agent who is now on my team today. In December, she quit. She decided, hey, I want to go out and do it on my own. Like, obviously, when you're on a team, people think 50%, what am I paying you for? What they don't realize is how many times I answered your phone at 9 o'clock to help you save that deal. You would have made 0 without me, but we got to the closing and you made 15,000, right? It's very easy for agents to forget your value. So I'm a huge fan of let them go peacefully. That situation was a little bit harder because we were really close. And I said, hey, listen, I wish you the best of luck. You should know that 42 days later, she came back to my team. She is now my luxury listing agent. And this month alone, I think she has 7 contracts under. So with that being said, how you allow somebody to leave and how you treat them will determine on do you have the relationship for them to come back. Now, as a team leader, when I brought her back, everybody's like, you rehired her? Yes, I was never the problem. She needed to go see if it was greener on the other side. And once she got there, she realized it wasn't. And I know so many team leaders who are like, well, if you leave my team, you're never coming back. I think to each his own, that's okay. But think about agent attraction. I recently left EXP, and for 6 months, I was with Keller Williams. I was looking for a mentor and somebody who honestly understood I'm just getting started. That's like my go-to phrase for everything is I'm just getting started. How do you find somebody who gives you that high energy, here's what we can do together, right? If the people that I was originally with at EXP would have saw that and helped me get to that level, I would have came back with them. I loved them. They were my friends. We built 3 years before I left EXP and then came back, right? But what happened was I met somebody else. And I think when it comes to agent attraction, are you following up? There are so many people who reach out to me and say, tell me about EXP right now. Gogo's going to kill me when I say this, but I'm so busy building this master team, I don't have time to call them back, right? So what happens? I see they join EXP with the local company on the left-hand side because I didn't have time for them, right? And people tell me that all the time. I say, why are you leaving EXP? Well, because so-and-so promised me this. I'm like, okay, well, I'll see you in 6 months when you come back and say you didn't get that, right? Because at the end of the day, you need to find what you're looking for. So I'm trying to make sure I do agent attraction and how you can use both, because I personally only have agent attraction through people who want to join my team. But unfortunately, I do not just hire anybody. They're not a perfect fit. So what I offer them is mentorship through me. And that means they could join me at EXP. We have it's called Boots on Ground team, where basically I'll help you learn how to be boots on ground and become a better agent. You do not get the access to me like my team does, but you do have access to, if you have a deal falling apart, you can call me, or kind of in a mentorship way of, hey, I'm here and I'll walk you through it. They also get access to all of my training as well as, Gogo and everything else. So that's kind of an added benefit, but all of my agent attraction is really just based on they want to be on the team. And unfortunately, I always say they're promoted to solo agent because it's just not a great fit for me.
Hey, Kymberly, I have a quick question if you don't mind. This is Beth. Hi.
Hi.
Hi, it's Beth in Salt Lake City, Utah. Thanks so much for coming this morning. When you had said, so your only outreach is or people are only contacting you because they want to join team, not EXP organization. Is that right?
That's correct.
Interesting. Okay. And can you share with us how many are in your organization and kind of where you are in your agent attraction life?
Yeah, so I'll be honest, Gogo, don't kill me. I don't know that exact number because it's not my focus. So it's not something that I know the exact number on. I know, sorry, Gogo, but it's not really my focus right now. If you follow me on Instagram or Facebook, then you saw that I just posted yesterday. The last 2 years have really been about getting the team to where I can step out of production once I get to where they're bringing in a certain amount. So, my team, we sell about 100 homes a year. Last year, I sold 55 of those. I'd like to get to where they're selling 143 without me. And then once I can step completely out of production, then I will focus on agent attraction. So it has not been something that I have really focused on whatsoever. I will tell you, it is something that at every conference, Gogo yells at me and says, you need to have a plan underneath of you, due to the fact that there are a ton of realtors. I'm also in different coaching programs like Tom Ferry and things like that. And so at those events, all those agents want to come because they know Gogo and that relationship. I don't know if Christy is on here, but we just attended an event in Nashville. When we went to that event, there was like 15 females, because mostly females, that were there, and were like, how do we join you guys? And we talked about, like, we really need to work on the agent attraction. But Beth, I'll be honest, it has not been a sole focus for me, because to me, passive income with my team bringing in the numbers is going to help me be able to focus on agent attraction.
Do any of the people you bring into your team, do they get excited about the agent attraction piece? I know not, 12% only attract, but do any of them get fired up about that and bring people in?
I have a new expansion team out of Somerset. So I just did that about 62 days ago. And so basically Somerset would be considered like Cumberland, and a little bit of a smaller place where there's a lot of need for a good brokerage. That specific agent has a huge plan to be able to basically bring everybody under her, use my mentorship to build out an EXP partnership there. So she's super excited about it. I would say locally, the team that I have, and I know this sounds crazy, but they're so busy selling houses that their focus is not agent attraction.
Got it. Well, they're all so adorable. Do you have to be brunette?
Listen, they are
They're gorgeous.
I thank you so much. I tell you, I tell people I burned this thing down in December, and a lot of people at Gogo knows, I was like, I'm just going to attract. I'm really just going to sell all the houses myself. And I honestly think agent attraction is so much easier, because Beth, if I wanted to attract 50 easily a week, a month, I could. The issue is I think you have to be, for me, I think you have to go all in. You have to be focused on one thing. I meet so many agents that I believe are like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. Well, they don't ever succeed at one thing. And so my thing is, you can do a ton of different avenues, but I personally think master one. And once I master, you should know that I haven't taken buyers in over 13 months on my team. That itself is huge, right? And so now I've gotten to where, right now we have 14 listings up as a team. And so as a team of 5 here in Kentucky, that is huge, right? We were top 12 out of 4,200 agents this year for LBAR's results that came in. And so with that being said, now that I have a full moving team, the goal would be the next time you see me on a call, I can be able to say, hey, listen, now I've been able to build boots on the ground and we have an agent attraction team of this. But I truly believe trying to dip your feet in a million different spots will not give you the success that you need as fast. For me personally, to live the lifestyle that I want, I needed to be able to have the money coming in so then I could focus that on going to agent attraction. Does that help?
No, yeah, for sure. Just curious kind of where you were, and it sounds like you're just kind of getting started there.
Yeah, I'll tell you, like I kind of told Christy and Gogo when I joined, like when it comes to building a team, I'll tell you I'm the best. Like I've done it, I've mastered how to train agents. I have local people here that have been in the business for 10 to 12 years, and they call me and they're like, okay, Kymberly, how do you train this person? I've spoke on Tom Ferry stages where they're like, tell me how to get agents from 12 houses to 47. I can do that all day. Agent attraction, that's why I joined GoGo, right? It's so that I could really understand and learn. I would tell you, since I started doing social media, which when we spoke, I think GoGo, it was probably back in February when I came and did a few days with you, and I got to see like how you do everything. Once I started recording videos, I found like people reached out to me. So Beth, if I would tell you anything that I'm going to plan on doing, if you're like, okay, what's next? I'm going to go all in on social media. I'm going to show this me, live personality, crazy world of what really happens, because I think too many realtors right now have the filtered tips and tricks for buyers and sellers, and that's not getting agents to come to you. So I plan on going all in on social media to be able to pull up that agent attraction, because I think things like GoGo yesterday, I can tell you what her entire day was due to her social media. Like that's what people want to see, so they can decide, are you the person that they want to follow?
But also, I want to add on to that. So when I met Kymberly and she came out and spent a couple of days with me and in Florida, right? And I looked at her social media, and her social media was very prim and proper, very organized, pre-shot, cute outfits, like amazing videographer, all of that stuff. And I was like, and she's like, why am I not getting the views? I said, because you look like an actress, right? It looks like this is staged. This is not, you're not allowing people to truly get to know you. This is like, yes, you're sharing content, but it's almost like I'm watching a pre-organized TV show, right? Like I don't actually get to know Kymberly. And I am not kidding you guys, from the moment, I think I said that at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon in a voice note, and by 4 o'clock she posted a video, like just like holding the camera, talking, walking, all that. So she's a huge implementer. When she wants something, she just like consider it done. Like she doesn't think twice about it. She just goes and, jumps deep into the deep water right away. So I love that about her. But I don't know if you noticed when she said that she graduates them into, I learned that from you, this one from you, Kymberly. So the agents and her team, if they are not a good fit, they graduate into a solo agent position. Ah, isn't that just like, I love the spin on it. It's not like, hey, you're fired. You're graduated. You're good to go solo, right? So Kymberly, the one thing I want to add on to that, when you have, I understand that you want to master one thing at a time. I believe you can master a lot of things at the same time. Yes, you're going to be burning the candle at the same time, right? So it is stressful, and you can burn out if you're not careful and do it right. But if you're already having people who are reaching out to you, it would be so super silly. It's like, think of it on the real estate side of things. What would you do if your team says, oh, I'm too busy to take these leads on, these people are keep reaching out and I just can't because I'm too busy, right? You would be like, what the fuck, right? So same thing on the agent attraction side of things. Just because in your mind you didn't label it, then it's a now. In my opinion, you have to label it, it's a now, because you're losing out on people who literally raising their hand. All you need to do is build a tiny little infrastructure to say like, oh, you're not applying to be on my local team, here's the button. right? Watch this video, get into my calendar. I talk to you once, push this button, sign up, right? It's literally people are raising their hand. So if you want my 2 cents, just build that little piece out, have someone help you with it, right? We can help you with it, and take advantage of that, because these people need your help. That's the reason why they're reaching out to you. And you wouldn't want that. I think in a way that would say, then that you don't care about people, and you do. You care about them very much, right? It's just that you don't want them on your team, and in your current mind, all you can think of is like, are you coming on my team or not? Right?
I think yes, and I also think there's a different way to see it. For me, and most of you, if you do follow me on social media, I have an 8-year-old, so I'm okay with telling them no, because right now I'm telling her yes. And for me, that is a big deal. I have been, I came home from active duty, which most of you know, I did not have a life, right? I had to get up and go. For 6 years, I came home for a flexible schedule and time, right? To say that I have spent the last 5 years building my business, and my daughter, who's 8 years old, has not had me at home, is a huge deal, right? And so I completely agree. When Christy reached out to me, she's like, I want you to teach how to build a team. I'm like, okay, Christy, but full disclosure, when you ask me about agent attraction, GoGo's gonna light me up. And she's like laughing, and I'm like, no, seriously, because I agree that there are different places, GoGo, that you're absolutely right. One small system and infrastructure could go in there, and I probably could make a lot more money. But I would also say that when considering how many people I've seen leave due to not having the right downline, or not having the, what I would say, access to the person, I think that's like a real thing at EXP, right? And I think that's one of those things. GoGo, I can pick up my phone right now and call you, and I promise she'll respond within an hour, right? And that is what I want to be able to give people whenever I do jump into that. And I personally just don't feel like that's where I want to be right now, because I want to focus on my 8-year-old at home. I want to focus on the passive. I also, for those of you who don't know me, I flip homes like crazy. I flip 45 homes. I currently have one on the market now. We're flipping 1 to 2 a month. So I also have a ton of other passive income coming in as well. That's the goal for joining GoGo, is to be able to really build that downline on agent attraction, where basically, you're right, GoGo, it's an easy, hey, Kymberly, where do we go to sign up with you? Because, there's been plenty of times I call you and I'm like, okay, GoGo, what do I do with all these people? And she has been telling me for months, okay, well, you just need to build this button, right? This GoGo the button that does it. But I would also say, like, I think that a lot of people, a lot of people that are in our GoGo organization that I have talked to prior to this call, they really want to know how to build a real estate team, because if they could get somebody to take over their business, then they could do agent attraction. I think that's like 60% of people that I meet at these conferences and I talk to, they're like, how do I focus on agent attraction without having somebody take over my everyday business? And I think that's been a game changer for me, is like, you can do both. You can have a rockstar real estate team to where, honestly, I could sit at this desk all day and not have to get up now that I have that team.
I was actually thinking as you were talking that you could possibly solve that problem by creating what, like Christy actually is called Team GoGo Mama. It's a very official name. Because she's the one who takes care of everyone, right? She's the one that everyone goes to. Like, when you guys all joined, I told you, I'm like, don't call me for links. Like, don't ask me where something is in a Google Drive, because I can't find it, right? That's all Christy. Everything systems processes is Christy. Call me if like, hey, how do I market this? Or how do I build this leg of my business? Or those kind of things, right? But I'm wondering, Kymberly, if maybe you would have someone that for a percentage of your revenue share, if they help you build it, right, they get a percentage of your revenue share that you generate. So it's not going to cost you any money, but they become that boots on the ground mama, right? So everybody goes to them, and they really only come to you when they exhausted every other revenue and they can't answer the question without you, right? So that every day, step by step, can be removed from you, and you can have your cake and eat it too, because you have these people and you have the reputation and they literally raising their hands. You just need to have that person in the middle who can massage them, and they really only come to you when they exhausted everything else. I think you could solve a problem that way.
Yeah, I would agree. It's definitely an easy fix. It's just, and GoGo, we talk about this every week. You yell at me over the fact that, like, yeah, I'm losing money. I think it's a huge benefit. But you're right. I'm an all in, which means that when I go all in on agent attraction, I mean, in my opinion, I'll wipe the ground. But when I go all in, I want to be ready to go all in to give people what you give them. Honestly, like, I've been at EXP now, I think 5 years, and I've never had, well, probably like 4, because let's say I jumped in and out a few times, right? I'd say 4 years total I've been at EXP, and I truly feel like it's been huge having that mentorship. And I think the mentorship is really like, for example, these calls and all of the different things. That's one of the things we talked about coaching, right, when I was with you. And I think that that's a big deal too, is understanding that whether you're building a team or you're building agent attraction, whichever one you're wanting to do, you're signing up to coach and be in people's lives. And are
Yeah.
you in a position to be able to do that? Gogo, I called you back in December, and for anybody who has a real estate team, if you haven't got to the point where you're like, I'm going to do it myself, well, you're not trying hard enough, because there's going to come a point where you run a real estate team and you're going to be like, you know what? I could sell these houses without all of you, without the hassle, without dealing with the 9 o'clock phone calls, right? Like, there was definitely a point in my career where I'm like, just forget it. I mean, if you guys don't know, in January, I made my husband get licensed, because I'm like, if I burn this team down, I need another agent to be able to keep my team name. Can you go get licensed? Because I've built a 5-year brand and I'm not giving that up. So go get licensed. I don't want you to sell real estate. I just need you to get a license so I have a body in case I need to keep this team. Well, what I didn't realize was refocusing that and building the team with the right people, I think changed everything, right? One of the other things that I have in there is working on your business and not in your business. And I truly think that this could apply to building a team or to doing agent attraction, right? Just because I might not focus on agent attraction doesn't mean if I didn't focus on it, I wouldn't know how to do it, because I truly believe that the organic way of coming in is just genuinely showing up, right? In the beginning, I think that I was micromanaging and trying to give too many answers to stuff that I'm not supposed to know, right? Sometimes you think you need to have all the answers for the agents. And what I found was, hey, I don't know, but I'm going to go find out for you. I'm going to call the right person who specializes in that, and I'm going to get you the answer. And I think that's been a big thing with building out the team, is understanding that there were some times where I was, I would say burnout. I was taking on, 3 to 4 or 5 buyers a month, doing 6, 7, 8 listings, and then trying to come in and mentor. One of the things that I want to talk about, Gogo, because I think a lot of people is, do you have a schedule? Do you have a schedule? Do you have a schedule? If you've ever spent the day with Gogo, man, you will not want to be Gogo. Like, I love her, but I sit behind her computer and I'm like, I need a water break. Like, where's Dwayne? Like, actually, because it's schedule. And as a salesperson, that frightens me. Like, that sounds exhausting. So what I did was, my team has a mandate of Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. They have to be in the office from 10 to 12. It's a mandate. A lot of people felt some type of way when I came out with this mandate this year. I can show you the production numbers of how we have sold 43 homes in 31 days. And that is right after a mandate. So even though they didn't like it, what we found was they became closer because they were here every day. So all of them became best friends. They also were calling and following up with people. They weren't missing birthdays or social media posts. They were here 10 to 12 working on their business and not in their business. When you do so much production, it's normal to get lost in the right now deal. And I found that the agents were losing the relationships with the previous buyers and sellers that they have already helped. And so I think that's a huge deal, is, do you have a mandate on when they're all together? Do you have a mandate on when you're doing follow-up? Do you have a mandate, whether it's agent attraction or something else? What's the mandate? And you're going to get salespeople that are going to say, one of the agents on my team, she's like, this doesn't make any sense. Like, it's summertime. I'm like, you still got to work. I'm still paying for the leads. We're still generating all this business. Just because it's summertime and, oh, by the way, it's the prime time, doesn't mean that you can just, go to the lake for 3 days. Or, if you want to do that, that's fine. But let's make sure that you're not answering Zillow calls. Let's make sure that you're following up and things like that. And I think that's a big deal, because a lot of team leaders, this is the huge conversation that we have, is how much accountability is too much accountability. Now, we do a Tuesday meeting every week. That Tuesday meeting holds them accountable. And on that Tuesday meeting, we go through, what leads do you have? What are the problems? We do Shark Tank, which is where we all walk through what happened, how would you have handled this, and what would you do different? And I think that's a big deal. And then we also talk about, like, hey, you're working with Susie Q and she doesn't like you or you don't like her. we're going to give her to Ashley. I promise people think it's crazy, but my team does that. If Caitlin, who's the school teacher, meets somebody who's my personality, she's going to turn them over and have an accidental appointment to where she needs Ashley to cover for her. They're going to meet Ashley, and we're going to slowly transition it to where Ashley's going to become their agent. A lot of people think, well, how does that work? Because then that agent doesn't get paid. But what you don't realize is when it's a system and they all do it and they all switch to base the client based on their personality. The same thing you could do in RevShare if you wanted to figure out what person fits the mentorship needed, like based on where they're at life. I think that's essential because we're making more money by giving the client what they need, even if that's not the agent that they originally connected with. So I think that's been a big change that we just started implementing in the last 60 days. You have a question, Go-Go? I saw you go off.
Yeah, I wanted to add on to that on the agent attraction side of things, because it is super important in my opinion. So let's say I see Selene on the screen here. So Selene, let's say that you bring on an agent and they're brand stinking new, right? And you're like, well, I'm 4 years in, 5 years in, I don't remember how long, right? And you're like, well, I don't remember what it's like to be new. I don't have time to babysit a brand new agent and explain you how to fill in an addendum, right? So in that case, I would find someone in your downline or organization who's so said a year in and a rockstar and say, hey, listen, can I give you this agent? Do you have the time to hold their hand? Because you're so like, you're just one step in front of them versus you being 11 step in front of them. Right. And that way everybody wins. The agent who's one step ahead of the agent who's brand new will benefit from, getting that revenue share, and you will benefit from that agent not leaving because you would have not had the time or the patience anymore. Right. So, and the agent attraction side of things, we can have these agents come in, especially now that they opened up level 1, 2, and 3. I don't know if you all know that, but now we all get paid on level 1, 2, and 3, no matter how where they're located or how many you have in your front line, right? So you no longer have to have the 10 to 15 to 20 in your front line to open up those levels 1, 2, and 3. Everybody's already automatically open. So there's really no other benefit. Like you can plug a frontline agent into your second generation, right? Not after they joined you, right? But as they're joining you, instead of keeping them in your front line, you might say you're going to give it to Jessica because Jessica has more time to hold their hand. You're still going to make the benefit. The only downside to that right now, because I don't know if you guys know this, but there's also another new benefit that EXP just came out with, that on our frontline agents, in their first year with us, when they cap, we get a $4,000 revenue share. So that's like almost double almost 3 times as what we are making otherwise. So if your agents are joining, so as you're adding on frontline agents, and if they cap in their first year with EXP, you're going to get a $4,000 revenue share off of that agent, not the typical revenue share. So if you think about it, if you bring in 10 agents this year that are going to cap, that's $40,000. If you bring 20 that are going to cap, that's $80,000, right? Mm-hmm. Just in the fees that we are making in our frontline agents, plus you're getting paid on level 1, 2, and 3 automatically. So just keep that in mind. Those are the new changes. So you can play with that a little bit. If you don't, just so you don't turn them away, right? So then somebody else can help them in your downline organization, and you still make revenue share, and they stay.
And that's what I do, Go-Go. Most of the people are not under me. I have an Autumn who's been with me 3 years. And so most of the time I'm building her downline. Most of them are under her, mainly because I think it incentivizes them to stay on my team. Like I'm building them a downline. I also think that it allows them to be a mentor and a leader. And I think everybody wants to do that. And I think that that's where, like, I'm the leader at the top, but I also don't want all of those people reaching out to me. I want them to reach out to them, and then I'm like last step if they need me as well.
Yeah, and that's what I tell everyone here too, is like, that's why only my frontline agents get my telephone number, right? And everybody under them, is because I want to have that generational information growth, right? Meaning that if your agent, Celine, has a question, they should go to you. Right. And then if you don't have the answer, you should come to me. Right. Because if your agent comes directly to me, then you'll never learn the answer to the question. And then I'm it the whole time. Right. This is why we all have to teach our own leaders in our organization to learn to answer those questions. So their agent's going to go to them. Then they're going to come to us. Right. And then this way, generationally, everybody, as we are growing, everybody knows the answer to the questions. So then you don't have to be exhausted out of your ever loving mind. And initially, I want to say my phone was ringing all the time. I mean, I would have text messages like I would come off of an hour Zoom call and I had 49 text messages. I'm like, this is ridiculous. This can go on forever, right? Like I'm going to lose my ever loving mind. And the bigger we got and the more leaders we got in the organization, I feel like my phone rings less and less and less. Right now I have more meaningful conversations and business building conversations and all that, not so much the everyday. So it is important to build your leaders inside of your organization, because you don't want to have to be that go-to person for the rest of your life, because you're going to lose your ever loving mind.
Yeah. So Gogo, is it okay if I ask, just because it seems like there's a lot of like, you know, agent attraction or team leading, is there anybody who has questions that I haven't kind of talked about? Because I kind of went off of the team building so that we could talk about agent attraction. Is there anybody here that's struggling with something as a team leader or building a team that you have a question that I can answer? Just so I can kind of understand where the focus is.
I want to say, if anyone wants to build a team, really, it's a totally different thing than what we have been doing, right? Agent attraction is more like building a downline in organization without like physically being in the same place with the people and having to hold their hands and giving them leads. It's a totally different thing than building a downline, right? So I don't know what percentage. Actually, that's a great question, Christy. Do you know off of the spreadsheet that corporate sends, or Lindsay, how many teams do we have in the 1500? Can somebody check that super quick?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know off my head, but we can look.
Yeah, I think that report shows us how many
It
official
does,
teams we have.
yeah. Mhm.
I'm just curious what percentage of our downline and organization in the Team GoGo organization actually wants to build a local team. Like I dismembered mine, whatever the word is, Crystal is, go Crystal, talk about it with Kymberly. She'll be the best one to answer any of your questions.
So I live down in Key West, Florida. I moved my business over to EXP last June, so it's been officially a year. Since I've moved over, I've organically attracted agents to the team. And in my downline, I have 7 agents that have joined, and then I have a couple more that I'm talking to. But part of my biggest challenge is that a lot of the, well, at least 3 of the 5 active agents on my team, they're new. And so there is not only a lot of teaching how to sell real estate in the Keys, but also how to be a salesperson in general and how to look for these different income opportunities, because each of them has a gold mine sitting in their database. It's just holding them accountable. And it's like, you don't know what you don't know until I tell them. So
are you
that's
still
been my
in
biggest
production,
challenge.
Crystal, pretty heavily?
I am, but I'd really like to get out of production. I really have very similar goals to what you had said, where I would love to, the production on my team, I'm doing more than half of the production, and I'd really like to get to a point where I am giving out new leads. I don't work with any new buyers. I only work with my sphere and my past clients at this point. So anybody new who comes in is round robin to my team, you know, based on their skill level. But the problem
I would tell you that one thing, Crystal, the new ones are the easiest. Also, the new ones you can duplicate the fastest. So one, when you're teaching one, you should be recording it. Like that's the first thing I learned. I was individually training them and not recording it. Record everything. Because in 5 years, when you get to where I am, where like, hey, this week alone, I turned down 4 people on my team. Now I am bringing them to EXP, but I'm not accepting them on my team because they're not at the skill set level I need them to be able to train them, right? But with that being said, I can offer them the training that I gave to that one agent when I did have time. So right now, before you're so busy doing everything else, you do have the time. Also, I never train in ones. I train in like 5. So when I send out a meeting, every person, I don't care if you're 3 years in, you're going to be here, because your seasoned agent is going to teach your younger agent. And if they're not part of the culture to help you grow everybody, they're not the right fit, right? So one thing I did really bad when I was still in production is I would spend all day training them, all day selling houses, And if you have any type of life outside of it, there was nothing left at the end of the day, right? So what I would tell you is pick what days you're going to train them. So for example, my team knows Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday from 10 to 12, my door is open. You can come in anytime, 10 to 12. Most of the time we are training or doing follow-up between that time. So pick your days, right? That's what I did in the beginning. If you were a new agent and if you want to Facebook me or Instagram me, I have a 90-day boot camp now. So I've come a long way. So now I have a 91-day boot camp. In 91 days, you have to know all this information or you're promoted to a solo agent. And people think it's crazy, but here's what I'll tell you. I have taken agents who have sold 7 houses in 3 years to selling at least 21 million. Like there are top producers in my market, Crystal, that couldn't sell a house to save their life. And you know why? Because they pick up the phone and say, well, I'm at yoga at 2 o'clock. So could you do 6? I'm like, do you think they care about you and yoga? So I know what you mean when you say just teaching them common sense, right? Because sometimes it's like, did you just say that? Ian's on here and he knows. Ian has been through so many agents through his time with me. And I'll be honest with you, it gets easier. But if you will train them in mass, here's what I'm going to tell you. Did you say you have 3 new agents?
I have 3. Yes, 3 new agents.
2 will make it, maybe 1. So the reality is bet on all of them, but understand that one of them, the other thing I'll tell you is I conquer and divide them. There's nothing worse than a whole bunch of agents getting together and thinking they know more than you. So I conquer and divide them to always show them like what's my value, right? None of my agents do paperwork. I'll be honest. Like, how do you give them a lifestyle where they know how to do the paperwork? But at the end of the day, I want them to focus on sales. I want them to be out meeting people. You know, if they're at Target, who's in front of you? Does she need to sell a house? Like, how do you get them to have those conversations? And I think that comes down to just getting them to spend time with you. I did a following for the 30, 60, 90. If you have a seasoned agent, I reward her. She makes a certain percentage of the newer agent's commission while she's mentoring them and helping them. That way I can take one with me and she can take one with them. And that allows her to train them. And then I'm going to double back and kind of switch it up and send the one that was with me with her as well, right? So I would tell you the biggest thing is like, it's okay that they're new. I promise having a newer agent will last. I mean, every agent on my team was new at some point, except the one that just recently joined about 90 something days ago. She was on another team, but I find that newer agents are more appreciative. If you find an older agent, in my opinion, I've only hired one. She only lasted 92 days. I promoted her at 91, and that was because she wanted to tell me how to run my business. So I advised her to go build her own. So sometimes when you get somebody who wants to come in and just learn everything that you're doing and leave, you need to know when to cut the fire and let them go, because it's actually very common that somebody's just going to come in and try to take your spear. The other thing I would tell you is right now it sounds like you have a very big spear of people who use you based on who you are. Do not stop touching them. Whenever a client goes under contract, Ian sends them my face. I don't care which agent sold it. It'll say, I'm Kymberly Clem with Valor Homes team. Thank you so much for trusting my team to help you buy, sell, or invest in real estate. We're super excited about the transaction. Here's what's next. So they know who I am. At the client appreciation events that I do, I'm the one who stands on the stage and says, thank you all for your business, for trusting my well-oiled machine team to help take care of all your needs. Do not let them become their clients. If they don't know who you are, Crystal, you're gone. My team still today will call a listing agent and say, hey, this is Autumn with Kymberly Clem's Valor Homes team. And the moment they say my name, the next level of respect is there because I have built 5 years building out who I am, right? So I would just tell you that's one thing. I know all kinds of people, they just let all their agents sell the houses, especially your spear. Like your spear, do you know that if you have that much business coming in, what you can do is you can meet them and say, hey, I have an appointment, and you can have somebody else show them the homes. You can still do everything. So basically, the agent's going to make money off of it. You're going to sell more homes, and you're going to buy back your time. And I have found in the beginning, I thought, well, they won't buy with anybody else. Like they want me. 80% of you is good enough for them. because they're going to
Yeah.
have on the back end telling you, hey, listen, you know, I'm going to do the negotiation. Sometimes in the beginning, I would have clients, Crystal, that would be like, do you mind to go back through the house and tell me what you think? Sure, I'll go back through that one house instead of the 45 it took you to see it, right? So I think that's important too, is where you leveraging your time. And I'll also tell you, you're going to fail a lot, and that's okay. There's going to be agents that are going to make you think you're a horrible team leader. There's going to be agents that complain about everything that you do. Just keep going, because while I understand GoGo says not a lot of people do it, if it was easy, everybody would do it. But when you get to where I'm at now, real estate is lonely. And in that room beside me is a tribe of women that are my best friends that we celebrate. Like, it is not lonely for me. I have a tribe of women who literally are my best friends, and a back office team that allow me not to have to come in if I don't want to come in for 2 months, right? So systems and processes. And I would tell you, if you don't have an assistant, I know Gogo's probably told you this already, but if you don't have an assistant, Ian has been with me, Ian, 3 years now. Man, on my phone, and I have 3 assistants now, I get a text message at 8:15 a.m. that says, good morning, ma'am, here's your schedule. At 8:45, if I have a Zoom at 9, I get a text message that says, friendly reminder, you have a meeting in 15 minutes, right? It sounds crazy, but Crystal, when you're building this team, your life is going to be crazy busy with quick question, quick question, quick question. And you're like, if
Yes.
somebody asks me one more quick question, one more time, right? So just time management, but also understanding. I'm a huge advocate for teams. You know, I just think honestly, life is lonely without friends. You can build agent attraction all day long, but you can also build a tribe of people that will change your life, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And I really do believe that that's what we're doing here with our team. I think that we're going to break the mold down here in the Keys. I don't think there's anybody else that is offering the level of service and knowledge and confidence that our team brings. And I just want it to be a consistent experience, no matter who somebody is working with, just like what you said, that, you know, if they're working with somebody on my team, essentially they are working with me because I've trained them, and they should be doing everything that I would be doing.
And I would also make yourself available. I just bought a house in Florida, just so you know, it was a disaster. I did not use one of GoGo's agents, but it was a disaster. I bought a house there. I'm actually in the process of getting my license in Florida. It was a disaster. I tell you this so you know, the team leader should have been involved. So I would also tell you, when there's a fire, I have a new agent, Caitlin. Yesterday, we went to a listing, and she's quiet and calm and collected. She's perfect for the buyers. They would have not liked me. I would have been too aggressive for them, right? But when there was a fire, they need to know that you're behind them and like, hey, listen, yes, she is a newer agent, but behind her is 5 years of education. I've been there, done that. Like, they just need to know that you're there as well. And you won't, a lot of people worry when building a team, they're going to want to work with you. I mean, listen, 43 homes in 31 days, none of those people asked for me. That was a me thinking they wanted me. They didn't want me. They wanted my level of expertise. And all you have to do is not be afraid to give it to people. Another thing is like collaboration over competition. We don't use competition in our office in regards to like teaching. Like, I'm not going to keep all the knowledge in my head because I don't want them to be as good as me. At the end of the day, I want them to be better than me so that they can honestly be super successful. And I think that if you just do that, the other thing I would tell you is figure out how to make their lives easier, because when they're working that hard, balance is the most important factor that team leaders never think about. Like, people have families, people have lives, they need to live. You know, real estate is great if you're making all the money, but if you're not doing anything, what's the point in it, right?
Yeah. And also too, money's not a motivator for everybody. So it's, you know, that's one thing that I tell my team all the time, which the first time I heard that concept, I was like, what do you mean? I was, you know, broke and just out of college. And I was like, how could money not be motivating? But the older I get, the more I realize that it's time that is my motivator. And so,
and what works for you might not work for them, right? That's the other thing I tell people, like, GoGo, I know I could rock it out on agent attraction, but I also know that what's going to happen is I'm going to go 0 to 100 on agent attraction. And the next 45 days, my whole life is going to be about that, because that's who I am as a person. So I think, you know, for me, this is my daughter's 8-year-old summer. I don't know about you guys, but I'd love to take off July 1 through July 30 of next month and still be making the same amount of money, no matter which way you do that, right? And so I think like understanding that, Crystal, and allowing the agents, my agents struggle when they come in and they're like, turn me off. It's like, I sold 6 houses this month. I'm done. I'm like, girl, I'll turn you off. Somebody else wants the money. It's okay. Like, it's okay. But they struggle because they want you to think like, hey, I've got it in me. Also, Crystal, know when they need a break. Last week I turned off one of my agents. I'm like, I don't care what you do for 7 days, you won't be working. Don't show up to the office. She went to Florida with her husband, had a ball. But I'm like, I don't care what you do. When you answer the phone and you sound like you got ran over by a train, it's time for you to get off the calls, whenever you're doing that. So also just monitoring their well-being, right?
Yeah,
I have a
absolutely.
question
That's
really
why I
quick.
have the EXP.
I've got to run into an appointment, but I do have a question. I love, I'm in West Virginia, by the way, so I'm near you.
Very close.
But yeah, and I love all of this. This is amazing. I just actually got an office and I'm getting ready to open it up, and it's Maine, downtown Charleston. And this really is my vision, like what you're doing. I love this. And I do think that I will be able to agent attract that way. But I have a question about your production, and it sounds to me like you are using Zillow. How much are you spending a month on Zillow? And what's your average price home there?
So here's the thing I would tell you. If you're a new agent compared to where I'm at, your Zillow's
I'm not a new agent. I've sold for 17 years.
Okay, so right now, just to give you an idea, I'm the #1 in Georgetown, Kentucky, which I'm sure you're familiar with. So my average spend is about $15,000 on Zillow a month, but I made $165,000 this month from Zillow.
Okay.
So it's more of what's my conversion on Zillow.
Well, I think too, just knowing going from single agent production and jumping into the team, and I'm not a Zillow person. It's actually completely saturated by one agent, probably like yourself in your area with one agent here. So it's very, very difficult to buy up the leads here. And I've utilized KV Core a lot, which has helped me tremendously. Do you do that? Do you use KV Core for your team, or are you like only Zillow?
So at the point now, I'm a huge referral based, and we do client appreciation events. That's probably our biggest. Client appreciation events probably brings in the most leads. We also now have niches in the doctor field, but our consistent lead flow for every month is 100% Zillow, meaning most of the new people coming in that's not sphere investors or doctors are going to be through that Zillow.
Right. Yeah, because I am struggling with who I'm giving. I've worked so hard that I'm a little stingy on passing out some of those leads or handing someone over to a newer
But I
agent.
would say at 17 years, aren't you tired of meeting new people? Like, aren't you tired of that, like having to go show all those houses? Because at 5, I was done. I'm like, because buyers.
I'm blessed because there's been slow times and busy times. And the last, I don't know, 10 years is when I've really put my heart and soul into it. I've been on welfare before. I've went through a divorce. So am I tired of it? No, I'm so blessed and thankful that I don't think of it that way. Sometimes I do get tired, but the energy pushes me forward from where I came from. And, I don't know, I'm a little stingy with handing over some of my clients. So I love that you can do that. I love that you have a system. I think that's awesome.
It takes time. And I think it also, like I said, I'm prior military. So I think that I have been trying to think I'll do it myself. I think you make the most money when you stop thinking like that, because I promise you, my agents are better than me. They'll come in and I might know the answer, but they can sell their patience level. And the other thing is, like, I understand.
That is the thing. The patience level. That is a thing.
Yeah.
I'm not as patient.
I had somebody walk away from a home one time and I'm ready to fire them. They're not making it to the next one. Like, if you're not sure, we just told a seller they're moving. They just told their kids. Now I've got to go back and tell them, I'm so sorry, we're walking away. Like, for me, I'm a little bit more of at my pace. I need you to know when you're working with me, I know I gave you all the resources. If you made a decision and then just changed your mind, which I know everybody's seeing in this market a lot more, those are the things where my agents are going to handhold them. I'm not going to handhold them. I'm going to fire them. I'm going to make money, right?
Right.
Melinda, I
Well-
wanna add on to that. For me, what it was, because I used to think like that too. I can do it better than anybody else. I still got some time. It's fine. I don't want to give these leads out. I've known these people forever, yada yada, right? They came to me,
Right.
blah blah blah, all of that stuff. When I really started, what I should say really started changing my mind is when the quality of my work was giving because of the quantity. When I
Yeah,
put
I
too
mean,
much on my plate and then I was ruining my own reputation because I was so busy, then I forgot, oh shit, we have a closing today, and I never scheduled the final walkthrough. And I
Right.
literally had back-to-back closings, right? So maybe that's where you get to that point where the quality gives, then you're gonna have to think twice of like, do I want to burn this relationship and build myself a bad reputation, or am I willing to take some steps off of my plate and give it to a buyer's agent, right? And I
Yeah.
would probably start with a buyer's agent first, where they don't have full access. They're literally
Right.
just door openers, right? So that is the most
Yeah.
amount of time off of your calendar is going showing houses. So I would probably just remove that step at first, right? Just okay,
Yeah.
you open
And
the
I
doors
feel
for
like
me,
I've
and if I
tried
write
for
a
sure to find
yeah.
somebody that's going to,
Yeah.
I've
And then
got to
you
run into
slowly
this
give them
appointment.
full access on the buy side, and then you turn, one of them into a listing specialist. And that's what I did. I slowly just step by step removed things from my plate. I couldn't just jump in, be like, I'm starting a team and now everybody take everything off of my plate. I didn't feel
Right.
comfortable with that. Right. I
Yeah,
needed
for
to do
sure.
it nice and slow. And I mean, for me, but I'm just saying that's for what did it for me is the quality of my work. Because I did not want to ruin my own reputation just because I was too busy and something had to give.
Right. Well, thank you guys. I've got to run. Thank you so
Yeah,
much. I'm going
thank
to
you,
come back and watch
everyone. We
this.
are at the hour. I'm pretty sure I'm on my phone. Oh, 5 minutes after the hour. I'm on my phone, so I couldn't see the time. Christy, did you get the numbers for me?
Yeah, I didn't know that my EXP updated. So as of April, we had 65 teams within Team GoGo.
So 65 teams out of 1,500 and let's say 1,500 agents. So
Yep.
that's what, 4%? 3% would be what, 45? Yeah, 4%.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So 4% of Team GoGo agents they're building their own teams. That's actually pretty high, I would think.
Yeah.
What do you think, Kimberly? Because I don't really know what percentage of agents end up building a team. Do you have any idea?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard for me because I am a team, so everybody I'm surrounded by have a team, right? So I think you surround yourself with, like,
Yeah.
for me to hear we don't have a huge team, I say like that's crazy because everybody I know has a team, right? Whether it's a husband, wife, I see a lot of husband, wife teams. I see a lot of, we have 2 agents, 3 agents. I think for me, it's more of, do they have a small team or do they have a big team? Because that's what we see, right? There's a lot of people that have a massive team, and then there's like what we would consider a team with 5 agents is kind of the norm for like a smaller team. But I also think you surround yourself. Like if what you want to do is agent attraction, you probably hang out with all the agents who focus on that. If you want to do teams, like all I know is team leaders, right? Because that's where I focus and that's who I hang out with. But I do agree with you, GoGo. It's one of those things where you're either left or right field. You're not, there's not really a middleman. You're either going to have a team or you're not going to have a team, and you're going to do it. I do think, I have a ton of friends who agent attraction, obviously GoGo, you can prove that, is everything, and you don't need a team. It's probably less headache. But I also think there are a ton of pros that you're missing when it comes to the option to have a team.
Absolutely. But I'm just like you, right? Like if I'm doing anything, I never half-assed anything in my life. And at this point, the amount of time and effort a local team requires, I don't have it anymore, which means I will have to wing it and half-ass it. And I'm not attaching my name to anything that's not 100%, right? Because I believe that everything that your name is attached to, it's a representation of your character. And if I cannot do it to the level, then I would expect from my clients to the service that they get and my agents, the attention that they need and the hand-holding that they need, I just don't have it anymore, right? So I'm better off at this point just referring every lead out to rockstar agents. And thank God we have plenty of you guys, right? Then we'll just send out the referrals and I take a referral fee versus, because that's 25% versus 50%, but I also have cost. Right. And I just
And
don't.
leverage, right? Like your hourly rate at this point, and that's something I live and swear by. If you don't know what your hourly rate is and you're doing stuff, like I think at this point your hourly rate is way too high to be. Yeah, I mean, I think
And
that's
that's the thing, right? Like an average transaction in Michigan, an average price home is, let's say, 400,000. If you're doing a 50-50, that's $6,000. $6,000 for me is 2 hours of work. Running it, if I could run a team on 2 hours of work in a you know, in and out I don't even know how that would come out to, right? I would be like, yeah, sure, let's do it. But the truth is I don't even have 2 hours.
Yeah.
I don't have, like you saw my calendar, like I'm back to back to back. Like unless we're going to start splitting those hours at 2 a.m. and I need a life too, then I just couldn't. But I'm huge. I mean, I had a team for the last 5 years. 2 years ago, we did 500,000 GCI. I'm literally walking away from $500,000 a year because I don't have 2 hours.
Mhm.
Right? Because now I want to see where
But
do
I
I
could
spend
totally
that
play
time.
devil's advocate and say, just like you're fabulous at the Asian attraction, if you had the right person, kind of like the button, who could say,
Exactly.
hey, this, and this, and this, you could do it. It's just, which one do you want to do? If I was in your position, no way I'd do it all over again. But once you put 5 years into building the team like I have
And
now,
that's what we did. And that's what we did. We hired a person for a position, and it's just, it didn't work out. And it required you still managing the manager, right? And I really just got to the point where I'm like, I can't. And Dwayne's on the call here. He's like, if I add one more thing to my calendar, he'll probably serve me papers. So I can't add anything.
He's like, I can only come in and interrupt so many times.
Exactly. I'm not allowed to come up with any more good ideas. But which reminds me, yesterday Leo Pareja reached out to me and he's like, you really need to interview Avery Clark for your Gogopreneur episode. And I'm like, who is Avery Clark? So I didn't know this, guys, but Avery Clark is the #1 producing agent in the country out of all brokerages, and she is an EXP agent. So I'm going to interview her for Gogopreneur as an episode, but I figured if you guys want to go follow her and just, get 2018 deep on her profile, and I'm sure we can learn a lot from her. So it's Avery Clark. She's a long-haired blonde lady. I think she's also an Airbnb specialist, and a lot of her transactions come from those Airbnb investments. But I just thought it would be a great one because she is a team. Yeah. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here today. Thank you, Kymberly, for teaching us about how to attract to a team and then run a team, a successful one. And now let's go and implement what we learned.
Thank you so much for having me, Gogo.
Thanks, guys. Have a good weekend, everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.